Okie dokie. Get started then. Get freaking started then. So last time. Oh, it's to Zelda. Where did I go to? Relaxing Zelda. Yeah. That's better. Okie dokie. The last time we left off, it was a long time ago. And that was, who was that? It was Robert Perry, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so Robert Perry, he meets in the North Pole. Very far away. Not a nice place to be. Lots of people, almost died. They had to get help from the Inuit, the Native Americans, the natives of the land. And they talked about all the dogs and how maybe they have to eat the dogs sometimes. But if that's the thing, if you want to explore, you have to take drastic measures. But really, they just waited like 50 years. Wouldn't have been that drastic. They could have just on like gasoline and stuff. But hey, that's human nature. You gotta explore at the cost of your own well-being. And I kind of get it. Kind of don't get it. Kind of think it's silly. But at the end of the day, who am I? Who am I to judge? Who am I to be the judgment judger? Not I. So next we're gonna be learning about who's this guy? I went too far back. We're gonna learn about Sir Ernest Shackleton in the Antarctic. Also Scott and Shackleton. I'll change the title. Whatever. It's just Scott and Shackleton. Two bros being bros, and we're gonna find out how bro they are. What can they do together? How powerful their beings are together. So yes, let's start out. My mouth's really dry, which is bad. But that's kind of life. I drink. Okay, I want it. Many explorers believed that a great continent lay to the south of Australia and South America, but they were not certain, for no one had set foot on it. Captain James Cook made 3 attempts to sail into the southern seas in search of this continent, but each time he was forced back by the great masses of floating ice. I remember Cook. He was kind of a pirate. He's kind of an asshole too. He was kind of mean to the Patagonians. But hey, cool guy though. Captain Cook. If you go back in my previous series, I think I have them on YouTube. You could see Cook somewhere. Actually, I haven't uploaded them, so maybe you won't see them. But the Cook is there. He's cooking up a storm. He's a good cook. Yeah, I don't remember. It's been like months since over 6 months since I last read something. I'm pretty sure. But hey, it's life, baby. Yeah. In 1841, an Englishman called Captain Ross sighted 2 magnificent mountains, which he named Erebus and Terror, after his 2 ships. Did not, however, make a landing in the Antarctic. Yeah, because it's fucking scary as fuck. They fucking smash into the tornado shit. There's like a fucking whirlpools. It's scary. It's like One Piece, the New World. When they're like, oh, we're going to go reverse mountain, and then there's like, oh, it's the calm belt. That's basically the Antarctic, the South Sea. Freaking scary as fuck, bro. And it's also kind of like snowy areas. Snowy areas of One Piece. Who doesn't like One Piece, Okay, let's talk about fucking Scott and Shackleton. Allons-y. In 1901, a group of Englishmen planned an expedition to the Antarctic, and Captain Robert Scott was chosen to command it. The timbers of Scott's ship, the Discovery, the USS Discovery. Good Star Trek TV show. Well, the first season was. The second season was kind of mid. I didn't watch that after that. Were made of oak, and the ship's builders said that it would withstand the tremendous pressure of the ice pack, much better than the ships of steel. I don't believe that one bit. On board the Discovery was a crew of 40 men, all volunteers from the Royal Navy. I guess it's kind of like a one-way trip. It's horrible one-way trip in where was this? 1901. Yeah, that's a fucking scary journey. One of the junior officers was Ernest Shackleton, who had already made many voyages to such distant places as Cape Horn, at the tip of South America. That's Patagonia. Wait, no, is that Patagonia? I don't know. I have a map? I don't have a map. Damn. I should have a map. The Cape of Good Hope, India, and the China coast. Shackleton had been chosen by Scott, mainly because of his knowledge of sails. That's a good reason. It's a good reason to someone who's good at their job. Discovery of the ice barrier. The Great Ice Barrier, which extends far out from Antarctica, made it very difficult for explorers to land on the continent. That's the picture that we see right there. That's the great ship. That's the Discovery. Which, I don't even know if the guy actually saw the real ship. There was pictures, so maybe this is a sketch of the real ship. I'm sure we could look it up later if someone's interested. The Discovery steamed south. Oh, it's a steam engine. And through the waters of the Atlantic, around the Cape of Good Hope, headed eastwards across the Indian Ocean, and reached New Zealand. And after a voyage of many months, from New Zealand she sailed for the south. As she continued on her way, she met masses of floating ice. Then, in the distance, a huge wall of ice was sighted. Game of Thrones. It's the ice wall. There's gonna be like the Ice King and whatever on the other side. What are they called? White Walkers? I don't remember. Game of Thrones was also a long time ago. Longer than I was reading though. So I should know that less, but I know that more. It's a good show. I'm sure the books have been better. But the guy won't finish his freaking book, I guess. A sneaky old man. Oh well. Where was I? Where I'm completely lost. Wait a minute. Then, in the distance, huge walls of ice was sighted. This ice extends out from the continent, of Antarctica, and often raises to a height of more than 100 feet above sea level. It is called the Great Ice Barrier. Scott wished to make a landing, but although he searched for many days along the edge of this high cliff of the ice, he found no suitable place. At last, a little bay was sighted, and here a successful landing was made. Finally, they made it to the fucking continent. That wasn't so scary at all. Maybe it was on the ice wall? Let's read further. Scott and his men were among the first to set foot on the Great Ice Barrier. Oh, it was the Ice Barrier. Off the shores of the Antarctic continent. The men were thankful to be able to leave the ship and walk about on solid ice. The husky dogs and ponies. Holy ponies, that's cool. I hope the ponies didn't have a hard time. Oh, you get the Russian ponies. The Russian ponies have long hair and are able to withstand cold temperatures, so maybe the Russian. We'll never know. I'm not going to look into it. Ponies of the expedition frolicked about over the ice and snow, glad once more to have their freedom after their cramped quarters aboard the Discovery. Scott's plan was to use little B. I'm reading about explorers of the Antarctic. So this would be off the coast of New Zealand. So you know like the big freaking, not the North Pole where Santa lives, but the fucking South Pole where penguins live. There's like it's like a desert there. No, you can talk. We're good for tangents. If you have any questions or whatever, you're welcome to chime in. What you up to, B? You playing video games? You chilling? This is you can talk about whatever you want. It's no big deal. You're more than welcome. But I'm gonna like after I'll read after like a paragraph, if that makes sense. If I don't answer right away, it's because I'm reading the paragraph. Don't worry about being quiet. Be as loud as you want. Be rowdy. During the winter months of darkness, the party spent much time reading, making reports on weather conditions, and planning for the time when the sun would return once more. Many short trips were made from the camp into the country close at hand. At one time, Shackleton went up in a balloon. He had a balloon. And viewed the land from the air. He reported that it was a vast sheet of ice and snow, with high mountains stretching to the south as far as the eye could see. You hear that? It's like a fucking. It's just nothing. That's Antarctic. Just nothing across the ways. But it's kind of cool that they use their hot air balloons. One thing they would bring a whole freaking hot air balloon on a ship. Seems kind of dangerous. And imagine the pressure, like having to deal with like the cold winds like blowing you out. They must have had like a special guy for that. That winter was long and dreary, and in the Antarctic, the sun disappears early in April and does not return till late in August. Blizzards lasting many days at a time blew fiercely. Great drifts of snow piled up around the hut, and the temperatures was far below zero all the time. Yeah, see, like you hear the conditions, like they're just miserable, just horrible. You can hear there's like when modern like scientists they like go to like do experiments in the Antarctic. I don't know why, I can't remember why, but they do experiments there. They say it's like they basically just stay inside like majority of their time. It's kind of miserable. But like if you're like an explorer, right, you know, if you're like that exploring spirit, like most humans do, like they want to go. That's what I think that's why people go on vacations and stuff. It's like the pseudo exploration that humans have done for I would say like almost a million years. Depends on what they're. What's your take on that, buddy? As soon as the sun returned, Scott planned to set out on a journey which he hoped would take him to the South Pole. Shackleton and Dr. Wilson, another member of the party, were to accompany him. Food and supplies of clothing and fuel were carefully packed on 3 sleighs. 19 husky dogs were hitched up, and when all was ready, the party bade farewell to their comrades. Okay, so they're ready to. So they were just hanging on the drift that whole time. That was just them just hanging out on like the very edge of the Antarctic. This big like 100-foot ice wall, like Game of Thrones. So yeah, I guess it's cool to see new stuff, but going to a place infested of killing animals, no sir. Infest of killing animals, or with interest of killing animals? There's no animals to kill really in the Antarctic. It's more just penguins, because like yeah, I'll hear your example. For most of the explorations, like in pretty much every other part of the world, there's some form of large animal. I think they're called megafauna, like a deer, bear. Penguins are dangerous, but usually they don't really have predators on the ice. So they do see humans as like big penguins, kind of. They're not really that dangerous. They're only dangerous if provoked. And you're actually not supposed to touch the penguins there. Did you see Madagascar? Oh yes, you're right. Those are Madagascar penguins. Those aren't South Pole penguins. Madagascar penguins are pretty scary. They'll put some sort of Home Alone contraption up to shock you and kill you. They're pretty they're pretty scary. You're right, B. I better watch out for Madagascar penguins, which are kind of close to the South Pole, to be honest. So I think you are kind of right there. You're very wise in your years. The heavy snow and the rough surface of the ice proved too much for the dogs. Okay, so already the dogs are out. They're like, oh, nope, no dogs. One after another, they fell ill and died. Holy fuck. See, that was quick. See, they weren't built. They were built for the north, not for the south. I wonder what the ponies are gonna have. What's happened to the ponies there? They had a lot of dogs too. They had like 19 dogs. Heavily loaded sleigh. Okay. Forced to. One after another, they fell ill and died. Now the men were forced to pull the heavily loaded sleighs themselves. Worse still. Oh, what's worse than pulling a sleigh? Yeah, door. This book's from the 1950s. They don't spare details, and it gets racist too. You'll see some racism. But I'll try to tone it down from what the book says. It gets bad. It's bad, B. Worse still, the surface of the snow grew rougher, and travel was much more difficult. Often, cracks called crevasses appeared like great yawning mouths in the snow. You will see a picture of a crevice on page 314. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, yeah, I have that picture. This guy, look at this. Look at that thing. Oh, their things are falling in there. Freaking scary. The men were forced to stop and make bridges over the gaps, or, as was more often the case, to detour many miles out of their way around the great cracks. Yeah, imagine falling into that. That's also some gore. Christmas Day arrived and was celebrated while the men were on the trail. The Union Jack, God bless England, Hail Britannia, Britannia rules the world, was flown over their tent, and photographs were taken of each man standing beside this little bit of England. I don't want to see that photo. I want to see that. I'm gonna look that up right now. Where's my little search thing? Scott Shackleton Antarctic photos. Oh, hey, these are way better photos. Let me switch to this. Let me switch to these. Yeah, I need to reallocate my space here. Reconfigure the new screen. Whatever. This is good. I don't care about cookies. Look at these crazy pictures. Oh, see, that's them with the Union Jack. Look, they look miserable. Damn. They don't look too happy. Oh, there's the dogs. Look at the dogs. Yeah, pretty impressive. There's the Discovery too. Oh, that's cool. It's cool to see some photos. I should have just looked these up beforehand. That was 1900s. They don't look too happy though. Covered in ice. I do like the sketches though. But I prefer the real pictures, you know? Union Jack was flown over their tent, and photographs were taken of each man standing beside a little bit of England. Dinner was a very simple meal. Shackleton produced a surprise, which he had kept a secret up until this time. He had brought with him a tiny Christmas pudding, less than half a pound in weight. That's nice. I wonder what kind of pudding was. Probably like blood pudding. Ah, from England. I make weird food. The pudding was heated in cocoa. Oh, heated in cocoa and divided. Oh no, it was probably like a flan, like a custard cake. Custard cake. And divided carefully into helpings. What a treat it proved to be. It was a glorious surprise to them. That plum pudding was plum. Hey, I would hate that. I don't like plums. The plum pudding when I produced it. Shackleton wrote in his diary. Would you be happy to get a plum pudding? B? You were presented a plum pudding and you're freezing your ass off. Your beard's frozen. Your fingers are numb. Someone hands you a plum pudding and dipped into cocoa. Yeah, I don't think so either. I'd be very upset. I would not like that one bit. I would be like, okay, you got anything else? Anything else, buddy? Oh, maybe a snow cone. Would you prefer that be a snow cone or ice cream in the Antarctic? Next morning, they pushed on to the south. The farther they journeyed, the more their hardship increased. Cold, bitter weather set in. Fingers and toes were frostbitten. The men were growing weak from hunger. Oh my god. For food was very scarce. Each day they wondered, what did they were getting into? What do you think? Like, what were they thinking? Of course, oh my god. Okay, whatever. They came to a great deep crevasse. What? Okay. Each day they wondered how much further they could go. Like, how are they going to get back is the real question. One evening they came to a great deep crevasse, wider than any other they hadn't yet seen. Beyond it towered a steep cliff of ice. The way ahead was barred. Weary and tired, the men crept into their sleeping bags to rest while they talked over what they should do. They knew they were 400 miles from the South Pole. They knew, too, that they had only enough food for 13 days. There was only one thing to do while they still had strength. They decided to return to the base camp. Aw, quitters. They should have full sent and starved. What would the gamer move to do? They weren't so gamer about it. It could have been a legend, but they ended up, they want to live. Ugh, gross. Imagine being immortalized, frozen in the South Pole, and be like, what pose would you pick? I'd pick or be like I'm just like sleeping, like napping, like a honk shoe me, with my hands, with my cheek on my hands. Oh, honk shoe. That'd be my pose when I'm a frozen popsicle. Where was I? On the way they had decided to return to the base camp. All three returned safely, although they suffered greatly on the way. They had failed to reach their goal, the South Pole, but they had traveled a distance of over 1,000 miles in 94 days. That's pretty far. That's actually very far for these types of explorations. Usually they don't make it that far. Usually it's like it's like they make it like 100 kilometers and that's it. And had made the first long land journey on the Antarctic continent ever made by man. Hey, they were the first. They were like Neil Armstrong on the moon. But kind of Neil Armstrong was a little bit cooler than these guys. The moon's kind of like more cool. I love the moon. Like Moon Knight. Hongshu. A relief ship came from New Zealand in 1903. It took Shackleton home to recover from scurvy. It's 1903. You know how to get rid of scurvy. They know what they have to do. Oh my god. The British. Ridiculous. I, they know they have to bring limes and stuff. I don't know. I don't like in a previous chapter, like there's like the 1880s. Like they were like, yeah, everybody bring limes and fruits and stuff, or you can get scurvy. Idiots. You die from scurvy too. Like your gums go over your teeth and you can't eat, and like you can't swallow it. Like you just die. Scurvy's horrible. Scott and his men spent one more year in the Antarctic. The Discovery remained frozen in the ice. In February 1904, during a brief spell of mild weather, the ship escaped from the ice and made her way to New Zealand, and then on to England. It's amazing that the wooden hull survived that. I would have expected things to just be destroyed and cracked and deformed. But hey, you can't judge a book by its cover. And I'm not one to judge. Why I'm one to judge? I judge all the time. I'm just not very good at it, apparently. I'll try to be a bit better at judging soon. Okie doke. From Scott's writing, people in Europe learned of the Antarctic, the new continent in the southernmost part of the world. What do you write about? Just fucking pudding and crevices? Crevasses? That's not really much to write home about. Scott reported that this land contained lofty mountains and high plateaus. When he traveled inland, he found no native people and no animals. Let's see if he has any more pictures. Ooh, that's the chip stuck in the ice there. Oh, there's the photographer. Oh, that's the flag they use. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's them waving goodbye. I know what that's from. So that's a little bit of a spoiler. Now, no native people and no animals. Only along the coast had he found seals and a strange little birds called penguins. Yeah, that's not bad. Seals and penguins are pretty cool. Shackleton and the Nimrod is next. Ooh, what's the Nimrod? Oh, maybe it's a new ship. Nimrod is the hunter. It's the hunter from biblical times. Maybe he's the great hunter. 6 years after, he went with Scott on his journey to Antarctica. Ernest Shackleton set out from England in command of his own expedition. Before the expedition sailed, King Edward and Queen Alexandra sent messages to the explorers. The Queen wished Shackleton every success on his expedition to the Antarctic and presented him with a Union Jack. When he thanked the Queen for her gift, he said that he hoped in a few months to see the flag flying over the South Pole. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe that was the flag that they showed. Ooh, foreshadowing. On board his ship, the Nimrod. Besides his crew, Shackleton had 15 hardy little ponies from northern China, and 9. Oh, so that'd be those Russian ponies with the long hair. They're very cold hardy. They're very good at surviving winters and stuff. From northern China, and 9 Eskimo dogs. Why'd they bring dogs? They all just perished. Why would you? That's kind of cruelty. It's like feeding, like that meme of like feeding cats to the coyote. You're just feeding cats to the coyote at that point. On the deck of his ship was a new invention, a gasoline-driven motor car. Although that's never going to work. That's not going to work. Although Shackleton doubted whether it would be of much help in the heavy snows of the Antarctic, he had promised to give it a fair trial. That I don't want to. I just mean gasoline, like petrol. There's no way that's going to survive there. That's going to get destroyed. It's like would be like a Model T or something, or like a Mercedes, like a Rolls Royce. No, Rolls Royce would be the company. This is English, right? I'll show you. Stowed away in the hold were stores of food and supplies for 2 years, sleighs built in Norway, and sleeping bags of reindeer skin. Ooh, that's very comfy. The Nimrod followed the same course from England to New Zealand that had been taken by Scott and Shackleton 6 years before. At a port in New Zealand, some repairs were made to the ship, and supplies of fresh fruits and vegetables were stored away. Finally, maybe they could ferment the fresh fruits, make some alcohol, put it in the gasoline car. Yeah, full circle. You don't even have to eat them. Get scurvy again and just drive around. That'd be kind of based. Nimrod sailed south. Over 30,000 New Zealanders waved goodbye to the gallant men and wished them success on their great adventure. The Nimrod, a small ship, proved to be poorly constructed, and when she ran into rough weather, she suffered much damage. Okay, I hope the car's okay. I hope my great ride is okay. My car, my stallion, my horseless buggy, my buggily horse, my horseless buggy. There she suffered much damage. Water poured into her hold, and some of the supplies were water-soaked. When the ships crossed the Antarctic Circle, hundreds of icebergs were sighted. Many lookouts had to keep watch for fear that the vessel might sail too near too near to these dangerous bergs and be smashed to pieces. This time, as before, the party landed in the little bay at the foot of Mount Erebus, near the place where Scott's camp had stood. Getting the stores and dogs ashore was not difficult, but the motor car proved to be quite a trial for the men. Worst of all, however, the ponies, which had to be put into horse boxes and hoisted up from the deck of the ship, and then down to the ice. Once on the shore, they were happy and began to paw the surface and whinny, thinking no doubt that they were back in home in North China. Those silly horses, they don't know that they're about to die. A horrible, gruesome, cold death is what's gonna await them. Especially most things in life, it's cruel. And but they're none the wiser, so at least they're gonna have fun along the way. Where was I? Great motor car unloaded. The Nimrod returned to New Zealand. Oh, did it? Oh, okay. When everything was unloaded, the Nimrod returned to New Zealand, and Shackleton and his men set to work to build the winter. That actually makes sense, because then the ship is useless if they're stuck in ice, so I guess it kind of makes sense to go back to New Zealand for repairs and stuff. The hut returned to New Zealand, and Shackleton and his men set to work to build a winter camp. That which was their winter quarters was roomy and comfortable. Often during the cold winter months, when bitter blizzards raged and the wind shrieked around its walls, the hut shook and trembled, but it never collapsed, nor was it blown away. Good hut. Good hut. Hut. Football. I actually lost my place for that stupid joke. Hey, I had to do it. Often in the cold winter's months, as well as when the hut shook and trembled, but it never collapsed, nor was it blown away. The men kept busy exercising and feeding their ponies, carrying food to storage bases, and doing the 101 tasks that are necessary around such a camp. You could tell us some of the tasks. I don't know why the book isn't telling us. I'm curious what the task it takes to survive a fucking hellscape. For a time, Shackleton made an effort to use the motor car, but proved a failure. The engine. Oh, what a surprise! What a surprise! Yeah, a newbie. I'm reading about explorers. This is history. We're reading about Ernest Shackleton and Scott. I don't know his first name, but they're trying to get to the Antarctic. They already failed once, and all their dogs died. But this time they brought more dogs and brought more ponies, Chinese ponies that are from the north, which I think is Mongolia. But this was in the 1950s, so it was all like Soviet, like Iron Curtain, Red River in the sky, Boom, 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 boom. It is a cozy stream. I'm reading about sailors, some cool sailors, in the human's thirst for adventure. The Green Gatsby. No, then you'll really fall asleep. It's actually not such a bad book, to be honest. It's actually kind of cool and interesting. It's a good book. But no, everybody's gonna fall asleep if they read the Great Gatsby. You guys read the Great Gatsby in high school? Yeah, I guess that's what you want. You want to go to bed. It's late. Time for sleepies. Let's see. Where was I? So they're about to try to drive an automobile in the 1910s on ice in the Antarctic, and it's going to go very poorly. Well, they said it goes very poorly because obviously it's freaking freezing, and it's a car. It's a shitty car. In an effort to use the motor car, but it proved a failure. For the engine overheated. How does that work? I'm not an engineer. Many times that winter, the men saw a beautiful sight. The southern lights, which, like our northern lights, brighten the sky with their many colored, ever-changing shapes of the color. That's beautiful. Let's look at a little picture of the southern lights. I want to see what they experienced. The southern lights. Oh, it's beautiful. This is Amanda Townsend. That's very nice. I like that a lot. Imagine seeing that when you're chilling, freezing in your tent. You look up, hey, not so bad. But it is solar radiation bombarding the Earth, eating away at our atmosphere. It could kill us. This is like death. Our atmosphere is protecting us from death, and that's what this is. It's magnetic, ionized radiation, ionized particles trying to kill us. But isn't it beautiful? Aren't things that try and kill us beautiful? I think so. Yeah, They are getting frostbite on their toes, but who needs toes, really? Make them out of wood. These guys don't look like they're having a bad time. They look really happy. Toes are not necessary for life. Where was he? By the end of August, the months of darkness were over. Now the men worked in earnest to prepare for the long sleigh journey south. Shackleton pinned his faith on four of the ponies, which had been trained to pull the heavily loaded sleighs. He felt that they were much stronger than dogs, that they could pull heavier sleigh loads and were far easier to manage. As men were faced with starvation, Shackleton knew that the ponies would provide food for the party. See, that's easy. Your horses die, just eat them. Fucking eat your horses. It really looks good horse meat. You guys have ever tried a horse meat? Frozen horse meat. It's like sashimi. There's a thing in Japan where it's like a frozen horse meat. Slice it up and eat it. I wouldn't try it though. That's kind of past my palate, you know. The first party of the journey all went well. The route lay over fairly level snow and ice. Then, of the ponies that had an accident, one of the ponies had an accident and broke its leg. Uh-oh. Sushimi time. Shackleton was forced to shoot it. The pony meat was stored in a pile of snow to be used on the return journey. Oh, smart. Little penguins get in there. Or ice tigers. Or cryptids of some sort in Antarctic eat their meat. I would never want a creature to eat my meat. All creatures have to stay away from my meat. The weather turned colder. Blizzards raged, and the remaining 3 ponies found great difficulty in pulling the sleighs through the deep snow. 2 of them became ill, and before long, they too had to be shot. Aw. They're just shooting. They're just bringing animals to get killed. It's most of these journeys. Like, why are you bringing more dogs? Why are you bringing more horses if you're just going to shoot them again? Like, you already learned your lesson. Why are you doing this again? Animal cruelty, animal cruelty. Only the smallest of the ponies, Tiny Socks, oh, that's a funny name. I like that. Let's see if there's a picture of Tiny Socks. Tiny Socks. Pony. Yeah, okay, that's the horse. Guys, this is the horse that they used to get across the Antarctic. Shackleton had reached the foot of a row of lofty mountains which he and his men had to cross. 4 days they searched for a gap between the mountains and were rewarded by finding a wide glacier which looked like a great white river. Later, Shackleton named this huge glacier the Beardmore Glacier, after a man in England who had helped him to obtain money for the expedition. As the party were making their way up the glacier to the plateau above, Little Socks met with an accident. Aw. I was kind of hoping Little Socks would make it. That's really disappointing for Little Socks. Shackleton heard a cry of terror from the pony, and turning around saw Socks slipping down into a deep crevasse. Oof. The pony sleigh was weighed down in the great yawning hole. It proved impossible to rescue Socks, who slipped backwards into the crevice and perished. Rest in peace, Socks. We hardly knew you, but we loved you. Everybody, if anybody has a prayer for Tiny Socks, please do so now. Please let me know what you any warm regards, warm words, kind words for the dearly departed Tiny Socks. Thank you. Unfortunately, the 4 ponies had died at a time when they were needed most. Well, I could have seen them. I want lasagna. You want horse lasagna? You could put horse meat in your lasagna. There's a lot of horse meat now. Buried in the snow. It's fresh horse meat. You let me know. I'll make you a horse meat lasagna. When they were needed most, for the party had just reached the steepest part of their long climb. The work of pulling the heavy loads fell to the men. At Christmas, they had reached the top of the glacier. Before them, to the south, spread a great high plain. They knew they were not far from the South Pole. They had journeyed thus far and had taken longer than they had planned, and only a month's supply of food was left. Leaving the sleigh behind, Shackleton and his men made a final effort to reach the pole. They pushed on for a few more miles, as far south as they could go. The flag which Queen Alexandria had given to Shackleton was planted 97 miles from the pole. Before them, somewhere not far away to the south, lay their goal, but this time, as before, Shackleton had failed to reach it. Or Shackleton. He's not failing. I want you to make me a cheesy lasagna with a lot of meat. I'll make you want a cheesy lasagna? You want to disgrace the horse meat with the Noodles and cheese. Okay, I could do that for you. You want ground? You want slice? What kind of meat you want? From the rump roast. Pulled rump roast. I could get ribs. Ooh, Miami ribs. Horse meat. Yeah, I'll do ground. Yeah, I'll ground up that horse meat for you. Before them, somewhere not far away. This time, as before, Shackleton had failed to reach it. Sick with disappointment, he wrote in his diary, "Whatever our regret may be, we have done our best." That's so disappointing. I sometimes when I fail stuff, I feel horribly dejected, like a normal human being. I'm normal, by the way. I'm a very normal human. Horribly, but I feel like if I was like trying to do like a great thing like that, wait 6 years for my second attempt, I'd be even more pissed. But I wouldn't have brought ponies again. That would have been, or dogs, like for real. Like that would have been such a dumb move. That was such a dumb move. The homeward journey was a terrible one. The men were tired, hungry, and weak. It was as much as they could do to drag themselves on through the deep drifts of snow, even though they were traveling during the months of January and February, which is the height of summer in Antarctica, because again, you know, the equator, the Earth is tilted away from towards the sun for Australia and stuff in the winter for us North Americans, Northerners. Which is height of summer in Antarctica. The temperatures remained below zero most of the time. Nearly every day, some accident occurred. Finally, after days of travel, which brought them very close to death, they reached the base camp. And that's the end of the Nimrod journey. But now we're gonna go to the Shackleton and the Endurance. Oh, this guy doesn't give up. He doesn't give up. I'll give up. I'll freeze to death probably. Maybe I'll change my freezing pose though. Maybe be like me running, like Running Man, or like Bigfoot. I like the Bigfoot pose. That's a cool pose. Be down for that. Okay, Shackleton and the Endurance. After Shackleton, other men sailed to the Antarctic. In 1911, Amundsen, a Norwegian explorer, successfully reached the South Pole. I'm just gonna gloss over it. It's like, oh, this Norwegian guy did. I'm gonna write about this in our book. He doesn't speak English. Reached the South Pole, and 1 month later, Captain Robert Scott, with whom Shackleton had made his first voyage to the Antarctic, was also successful in reaching the pole. More was now known about the Antarctic, but there was still much to learn. In 1914, Shackleton once more sailed for the Antarctic. For many months of preparation, this time, his plan was to cross Antarctica from sea to sea. Okay, maybe you should start with a thing you failed to do twice. That's my opinion, my 2 cents. I feel like you kind of screwed those two up. Maybe he should finish the job. Sailing south through this time he's planning to cross the Antarctic from sea to sea. 2 ships were taking part in the expedition: the Endurance, on which Shackleton sailed, and the Aurora. The plan was to land parties on opposite sides of the continent. The 2 parties were to travel inland till they met. They were then to make their way to Shackleton's old camp near Mount Erebus. Sailing south through the Atlantic, the Endurance sighted the shores of South America, and then headed for the rocky islands of South Georgia. If you look at the map on page 296, I don't think I have that map. Let me look at this map. Let me take a gander. What's this map? 296? Let's see. 296. Why don't I have this? Why don't I have this guy? Should have that somewhere. Let me see. Let me see if I have that. Let me look at my photos. Un momento, por favor. We will go to photos. We go to our pictures. Should be here somewhere. Right here. I found it. I found my little pictures. These skies are like a dream. I don't get that. New York skies? New York City skies? Is that a song lyric? Is that not a song? I don't that's a song lyric, right? Am I crazy? I know I'm crazy, but is that true? Let me show you. Let me show you the map. Like a little landing is strong until but no rain. Oh, you're in NC, okay. That's kind of scary. you're doing okay. Don't get hit by lightning. Is this it? Yes, it is. Here, look. This is the Antarctic. We'll see where this lonely little island is. South Georgia is a British possession, one of the most southerly regions of the Earth, which is inhabited. For many years, it has been used as a base in the whaling industry. Ooh, whales. Where is it? Over here. Where they get whale oil, whale blubber. You know, like the Weathermen come? What's this song called? I don't remember this song. I don't remember the song. Whatever. I should remember this. That's a sea shanty. I love sea shanties. South Georgia is a British possession, and for many years it had been used as a base in the whaling industry. From South Georgia, Endurance sailed south, again crossing the Arctic Circle, and entered the iceberg zone, which surrounded the great frozen waste of Antarctica. In a single day, Shackletons' men counted more than 500 icebergs, many of them coming far too near ships for safety. Endurance then sailed into the ice pack, which reached out from the Great Ice Barrier. He made her perilous way through it, looking for a suitable landing place. None could be found. The great chunks of ice closed in around the ship and held her fast in their grip. The ice continued to press against the sides of the Endurance. Before long, Shackleton knew that she would be crushed. With a heavy heart, he gave orders to abandon ship. Provisions, clothing, fuel, and small boats were quickly unloaded and carried to an ice floe near the vessel. Then the men watched the ice press and crush the sides of the doomed ship as if they were frail pieces of matchwood. Before their eyes, the Endurance was sucked under the icy seas and disappeared. Now see, now that's scary as hell. Let's see if we can get a picture of that. You see it? I have that photo. Boom, boom. Here it is. This is the. What's this gonna catch? Look at that! Look at that! Their ship just being sucked in there. Terrifying. And he's feeling it. He's feeling it. It's the third time he's failed. He didn't even make it to the land yet. Failed right away. This poor guy. A bad luck. Yeah, he's got pretty shitty luck, this guy. But hey, that happens to people. It's agony. Burst his cells. But you know, he should know better. Why is he taking a different route too? Like he was very successful going from New Zealand. So yeah, I'll use the English whaling colony. Ah, screw New Zealand. You know, he's feeding the dog. He's feeding the dogs and the ponies to the ice god. It's freaking brutal. I would hate that. I would hate that if I was a dog. If I was a pony, I think I wouldn't care as much. But if I was a dog, I'd be pretty pissed off. Okay, where would he? The plight of the explorers was serious. Spring was coming, and the sheet of ice on which they had placed their coming. Oh, it's kind of gross. They cleaned that. And the sheet of ice on which they had placed their coming. What the? Oh, I'm reading the same sentence. The sheet of ice that placed their precious stores would soon break up into pieces and drift out to sea. As though in warning, cracks began to appear in the ice. I should use my finger. Oh my god. In the ice. Hastily, the men rescued their supplies. And scrambled to a larger cake. Hey, somebody's birthday, and you're the candles. But they knew that before long they would be forced to the small boats. The wind and the current took the ice floes farther and farther out to sea, away from the great ice barrier. Launching the small boats, the men put out to sea. After days adrift, they reached the shores of Elephant Island. Where's that? Oh, was that? That was another photo. Keep on deleting the photos I need to look at. Let me pull up the Elephant Island photo. Let me just look at the. That's on the little round Antarctic circle thing. Pull that up again. We'll gander it. Take a cute little gander. A peek. Oh, this guy? Yeah. And Elephant Island is where? Right here. Okay, so they made it closer from South Georgia to Elephant Island. I guess they got ejected from the Arctic Circle. Yeah, that sucks. They're still close though. They can still. No, but they're fucked. They're totally fucked. They need to be rescued. Yeah, I would kind of at this point, you know, three attempts, I would just try to make it, try to run for it. After days adrift, they reached the shores of Elephant Island. Steep rocky mountain top, raising above the storm-swept sea. On the map on page 296, you will see that Elephant Island is far to the south, South America. Here, the 22 half-frozen survivors landed. Crouched under an overturned rowboat, they discussed what they should do next. They were at least 800 miles from South Georgia, the nearest island where help could be obtained. Shackleton knew that some of the party had to face the voyage to South Georgia, otherwise he and his men would be faced with starvation and death. Ooh, or they could go further south and try to actually make it into land. That's what I would do, and maybe make it across, because there's land. There's like look over here, like that is as exposed dirt and land. You wouldn't necessarily be nice. Shackleton decided to go himself. Well, that's kind of noble of him. And 6 others volunteered to go with him. They set out in a rowboat, the James Bayard, on one of the most daring journeys ever attempted by man. As they left the shores of Elephant Island, they waved farewell to their comrades on shore, and wondered if they would ever meet again. A fierce wind came up. For 14 days, a hurricane blew. Sleet and spray formed into ice, covering everything in the boat. Under the thick ice layer, the boat grew so heavy that it nearly sank. Freezing fingers, the men crawled about and chopped ice from the boat and its equipment. They placed a covering over the bow of the boat, and in the shelter it took a few hours of rest. Interns protected from the lashing of the icy waves. A mast and sail were also rigged up. Ice covered the men from head to foot, and their hands and feet were severely frostbitten. In spite of all these hardships, they did not give up hope. Finally, they reached their goal, South Georgia. Wow, I feel like they made it. I feel like they would have died. I feel like I would have died. Holy crap. Well, I don't think I know anybody who could have actually made that journey. Like just freezing, like getting like bombarded with like frozen ice waters. Nah, that would fuck me up. Unfortunately, Shackleton had reached the side of the island opposite that on which the little whaling village was located. Oof. He made several attempts to land, but every time he was driven back by high waves and rocks along the shores. Oh, imagine making it all that way and just at the very, very last moment, you're getting fucked over. Shackleton feared that he and his party might perish so close to help. When a landing was made, they made it, found that 3 of his men were too ill to journey across the rocky island. Pretending to his sick comrades and leaving them in the shelter of the overturned boat, Shackleton and the 2 other men set out to cross the island. Through steep mountain passes. 36 hours later, they stumbled into the tiny whaling village. Their hair was matted, and their clothing was in rags. When some children were playing on the streets saw them, they fled to their parents in terror, declaring that they had seen 3 ghosts. Yeah, they might as well be ghosts. It's crazy they lived that. The people in the settlement gave Shackleton and his men warm clothes, hot drinks, food, and comfortable beds. A small sailing vessel voyaged to the other side of the island and brought the remaining members of the crew of the James Bayard to the village. Shackleton's task now was to rescue the men marooned on Elephant Island. Several attempts failed because of the great fields of ice which blocked the way. Finally, a ship was lent to him by Chile, a country on the western shores of South America. And Shackleton set out once again. He feared that in the meantime, many of the men marooned on the island might have died of the cold from starvation. When he neared the shores of Elephant Island, Shackleton called out, "Are you all well?" No, it's British. "Are you all well in it? Are you all well in it? Chip chip." To his great joy, voices answered, "All safe, all well. Pip pip." I mean that's not part of the book. I'm just imagining that because they're British. Through the days of waiting, the men had remained confident that Shackleton would return for them. Each morning, the leader had cheerfully called out to his men, "Roll up your sleeping bags, boys. The boss may come today." So thankfully, So thankful bleh. So thankful were they for their rescue from almost certain death that the men decided to keep August 30th, the day on which Shackleton returned, as a special festival day for the rest of their lives. Hey, that's kind of nice, honoring their good friend. I don't know if I don't know if there's other holidays like that. If there's any holidays just like from like someone saving somebody, just like some random thing. Very like it's starting to got kind of out of hand. Kind of look into that'd be cool. Shackleton landed the men in Chile, and then set sail to find out what had happened to the Aurora, which had headed for the other side of the Antarctic continent, near the Mount Erebus. On landing in the Antarctica, he discovered that bad luck had followed these men too. Although they had managed to set up food depots along the routes which they planned to take across the continent, many of the men had suffered from sickness and hunger. 2 of them had met with accidents and had died. The overland journey was never made. On February 9th, 1917, Shackleton and the men of the second expedition set sail from Antarctica aboard the Aurora. After calling at Chile for the men who had been marooned on Elephant Island, the 53 survivors of the 2 expeditions returned to England. See, so the third one was the worst one for him. He totally fucked up. This guy sucks. What are we learning about this guy? Why is he a major historical figure? Shackleton's last voyage. In 1921, when Shackleton was 47 years old. Okay, 4th time's the charm, guys. 4th time, yeah. I know the last time was like the most hellish one of them all, but this time I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna make it all across the Antarctic. I know people have done it before me, made it to the North Pole, South Pole, I mean. And that was my long-term goal for all my life. But this time I'm gonna make it across. I'm gonna be better than them. Yeah, you're right, Shackleton. In 1921, when Shackleton was 47 years old, he set out on his 4th voyage to Antarctic. He planned on this expedition to map out the coast of part of the continent about which little was known. After a journey of 4 months through the Atlantic Ocean, his ship, the Quest, reached South Georgia. Why are you going this way? Why are you in New Zealand? New Zealand is safer. During the voyage, Shackleton, who had been in poor health, suffered from a severe attack of influenza. On his arrival at the whaling station, his friends there gave him a warm welcome. They noticed how he had aged and how sickness had weakened him. After a dinner of welcome, Shackleton returned to his ship to write in his diary to make final arrangements for his journey south. The voyage never took place. That night, Shackleton suffered a sudden heart attack and died. When the news reached Britain, all the country mourned for the great explorer. Special services were held in St. Paul's Cathedral in London. According to his wishes, Shackleton was buried amidst the snow and ice of South Georgia. The hell? Why, like, dude? Why would you? Like, things just got. Why? Like, you should have learned after the 3rd time. Like, you know, when will your actions have consequences, buddy? When will you learn? When will you learn? Okay, that's in the story. So the next his little journey, Shackleton's little journey. That was a really depressing. That's a really depressing part of this book. This guy, you know, tried his best, just kept on failing. The other guy succeeded where he failed. He still was like, nah, I'm gonna do it again. And he screwed up even more. And the last voyage, he fucking died. Okay, it's fucking brutal. Poor guy. Hey, at least he did what he loved. And that was exploring. Okay, I think that's it for the stream there. Thank you everybody for joining me, and hope you had a good time. And we'll see you guys later. Good day, goodbye, bye bye.